My daughter said she didn't want me to come to the family Christmas, so I decided to stop paying her bills. You know when you have that feeling that something is wrong, but you can't put your finger on what it is? That was exactly what I felt as I climbed the steps of my daughter Rebecca's house that cold December afternoon. At 58, after a divorce that left me starting over from scratch, I had built a simple but satisfying routine. I worked as a nurse at Riverside Regional Hospital, lived in a one-bedroom apartment that fit my budget, and the greatest pleasure in my life was being able to help my only daughter. Rebecca opened the door with that half-forced smile I had learned to recognize in the last 4 years, since she married David. "Hi, Mom. Come in. I was waiting for you." The house was impeccable as always, with those expensive furniture pieces that I knew very well who was paying for. David was in the living room, messing with his latest model phone, and barely looked up when I entered. "So, about Christmas," I began, trying to sound excited as I sat on the Italian leather sofa that cost 3 of my salaries. "I was thinking of making my special apple pie, the one you always loved when you were little. Remember how we used to make it together? You would get all dirty with cinnamon and—" "Mom," Rebecca interrupted me, and something in her tone made my stomach tighten. "About that, I need to tell you something." She looked at David, who finally put down his phone and joined us, standing behind her armchair like a bodyguard. "What is it, dear?" I tried to keep my voice calm, but I already felt I wasn't going to like what was coming. "This year is going to be different. David's parents are coming from Connecticut, and we're going to have a more formal dinner. More sophisticated, you understand?" She avoided my gaze, playing with the diamond ring I had helped pay for. "That's fine. I can make something more elaborate, too. Or I can just bring some things and help in the kitchen. You know how I like to—" "No, Mom." Her voice came out firmer, colder. "What I'm trying to say is that, well, it would be better if you didn't come this year." The words hung in the air like toxic smoke. I blinked a few times, trying to process what I had just heard. "What do you mean, me not go? It's Christmas, Rebecca. We always spend Christmas together." David cleared his throat and took a step forward. "Mrs. Thompson, what Rebecca is trying to explain is that my parents have very specific expectations about how festivities should be conducted. They come from a family with very particular traditions. Traditions that don't include me." "You mean?" The words came out more bitter than I intended. "It's not personal," Rebecca lied, but the way she said it made it clear it was exactly personal. "It's just that they're not used to your way of being. My way of being. I worked 60 hours a week taking care of sick people, paid my own daughter's bills for 4 years, and my way of being wasn't suitable for the refined family of my son-in-law." I got up slowly, feeling each of my 58 years weighing on my shoulders. "I understand. My way of being as a nurse of humble origins doesn't match David's sophisticated parents. Mom, you don't need to dramatize." "Dramatize?" I laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. "Rebecca, I raised you alone after your father abandoned us. I worked 2 jobs to give you a decent education, so you could go to college, so you could meet men like David. And now my way of being isn't suitable for my own daughter's Christmas?" David stepped closer, and for the first time since I'd known him, he spoke directly to me without that forced politeness. "Look, Mrs. Thompson, I'm going to be frank with you. My parents expect a certain level. They don't understand why someone who works as a nurse needs to be present at a dinner with executives and successful people. It's uncomfortable for everyone." The silence that followed was deafening. Rebecca didn't say a word to defend me, didn't say I was her mother, that I deserved respect, that without me she wouldn't be in that luxurious house. She just sat there, shrunk in the armchair like a child who didn't want to get involved in an adult fight. "Executives and successful people," I repeated his words slowly. "I understand. And I, who save lives every day, who keep families together in the most difficult moments, who who contributes to this family, I'm not successful enough." "It's not that, Mom." Rebecca finally spoke, but her voice was weak, without conviction. "No? Then what is it, Rebecca? Explain to me what it is, because I really don't understand how the woman who raised you, who supported you, who still—" I stopped before mentioning the money. Something told me not to play that card yet. David crossed his arms. "Frankly, Mrs. Thompson, my father-in-law was a respected man in the community. Successful lawyer, house in the best neighborhood in the city. Rebecca grew up with certain expectations about how things should be done. My parents will expect to talk to people of the same social level as them. My ex-husband who abandoned us when Rebecca was 12 years old? That's the standard of success you use?" My voice was rising in tone, and I could see the neighbors at the front window approaching to listen better. "At least he had class," David said. and it was like he had slapped me. Rebecca said nothing. My daughter, whom I carried in my arms when she cried missing her father, whom I consoled when friends mocked her thrift store clothes, whom I encouraged to study so she could have a better life than mine. This same daughter sat there, silently agreeing that I didn't have enough class to be in the presence of her in-laws. I understood perfectly, I said finally, grabbing my purse. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Really, thank you. Mom, don't leave like this. We can talk after the holidays, do something just the two of us. Rebecca finally got up, but I was already at the door. Sure, dear. After the successful executives leave, you can call me when you need someone without class to help you with something. I opened the door and felt the cold December air burn my face. Have a wonderful Christmas. You deserve it. I left without looking back, but I could hear David telling Rebecca, it was better this way. She understood. Yes, I had understood. I had understood perfectly. When I got home, my one-bedroom apartment had never seemed so small and at the same time so cozy. It was mine, paid for with my own sweat, without anyone judging me for not having enough class. I made chamomile tea and sat at the kitchen table with a pile of bank statements that I always kept organized in a blue folder. 4 years. 4 years since Rebecca married David and I started helping with the expenses of the new house. I started doing the math with an old calculator that still worked perfectly, even though it wasn't state-of-the-art like everything in my daughter's house. January 2021, $2,800 for the house down payment. It's just to help, Mom. We'll pay the rest. February, $1,500 for the financing because David was between jobs. March, $1,500 again, plus $800 for car emergency. April, May, June, every month at least $1,500, sometimes more. My fingers flew on the calculator while my heart raced. $2,000 here, $3,000 there. The month they wanted to change the living room furniture, $4,500. The delayed honeymoon month, $5,000. It's a loan, Mom. We'll pay it back when David gets the promotion. The promotion that never came. Or rather, that came. But then they needed to invest in appearance for the new position. Clothes, accessories, that 2023 silver sedan that was in their garage. When I finished the calculation, I stared at the number on the calculator for about 5 minutes. $123,450. That was just counting the direct transfers I could trace in the statements. It didn't include the expensive birthday gifts, the dinners I paid for when we went out together, the clothes I bought for her to look presentable for David's events. $123,000. You know how much I had in my savings account? $1,200. You know where I spent my last 3 vacations? Nowhere. You know the last time I bought new clothes for myself? I didn't remember. I picked up the most recent statement and saw it there. Monthly automatic transfer, Rebecca Thompson Miller, $2,100. Every month, religiously, it came out of my account on the 5th. I didn't even need to think about it anymore. It was like paying electricity or phone, a fixed bill in my life. And today, she had told me I didn't have enough class to sit at the Christmas table of the house I was paying for. I got up and went to the refrigerator. There it was, stuck with a butterfly magnet that Rebecca gave me on Mother's Day 3 years ago, the bank card with the numbers for automatic transfers. I picked up my phone and called. Good morning, National Bank. This is Jennifer. How can I help you? Hi, Jennifer. I need to cancel an automatic transfer that's set up on my account. Sure, I can help with that. I'll need to confirm some information first. 10 minutes later, it was done. The automatic transfer of $2,100 that left my account every 5th for my daughter's account had been canceled. 4 years, 4 months, and 17 days after I had set it up, thinking I was helping my daughter start her married life. Anything else I can help you with today, Mrs. Thompson? Actually, yes. Are there other automatic transfers set up for that same destination account? Jennifer checked. Yes, I see here a $300 transfer that goes out every 15th, referring to, let me see. It's marked as Rebecca's car. Cancel that one too, please. Canceled. Anything else? That's all. Thank you, Jennifer. I hung up the phone and stood there in the kitchen, holding the device in my hand. Done. After 4 years, I had cut the financial umbilical cord that connected my bank account to my daughter's luxurious life. You know what I felt? Lightness. For the first time in years, I felt like a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. $2,400 a month would stay in my account. Money I could spend on myself, save for my retirement, or simply leave there growing without having to worry if it would be enough to pay my adult daughter's bills. I took all the bank statements that were scattered on the table and went to the paper shredder I never used. One by one, I started feeding those papers through the machine. The noise was satisfying, as if I were undoing the last 4 years of exploitation page by page. When I finished, I took a wine glass that was saved for special occasions and poured myself a generous amount. I toasted alone in my small kitchen. Merry Christmas to me. For the first time in 4 years, I was going to have an entire December without worrying if the money would be enough to pay my bills and Rebecca's bills, too. I could buy presents for myself. I could dream of a trip on my next vacation. I could look at the bank statement without feeling that tightness in my chest. My daughter had told me I wasn't welcome at her Christmas because I didn't have enough class. Fine. She was going to find out exactly how much it cost to have class when the money from the classless mother stopped arriving in her account. I finished the wine and went to bed more peaceful than I had been in months. Tomorrow would be the first day of my new life, a life where I didn't exist to pay the bills of those who were ashamed of me. And you know what? I was anxious to see what it would be like. 3 days later, my phone rang while I was enjoying my day off watching an old movie on Netflix. It was Rebecca. And from the tone of her voice, I already knew it wasn't to wish me a good day. Mom, I need you to do something for me today. It wasn't a request. It was an order. 4 years listening to that tone, and I was only now realizing how she had changed with me after she got married. What is it, Rebecca? Can you go to Boulevard Shopping Center today? I need some gifts for David's parents. Good things, you understand? They arrive tomorrow and I won't have time to go out. Boulevard Shopping Center. The most expensive mall in the city, where a simple blouse cost more than my 2-day salary. Why can't you go? Mom, I have meetings at the office all day, and then I need to go to the salon to get my hair done for tomorrow. Can you do this for me? It's important. Important for her. As always, everything in Rebecca's life was important. My double shifts at the hospital to pay her bills, that wasn't important. My health, my tiredness, my free time, none of that was important. But buying gifts for the in-laws who thought I was inadequate to sit at the same table, that was important. What kind of gift? Something sophisticated. For Mrs. Miller, maybe an Italian leather purse or a French silk scarf. Something like that, between $300 and $500. For Mr. Miller, a good Scottish whiskey or maybe a brand name tie. You understand, right? Between $300 and $500. Each gift, for people who considered me an embarrassment. And how am I going to pay for this, Rebecca? Oh, Mom, you can put it on your card and then we'll settle up like always. Like always. Like always meant I paid and never saw the color of the money back. Like always meant I was going to use my credit card to buy expensive gifts for people who despised me. Okay, I said, and I felt a strange sense of calm. I'll go to the mall today. Thank you, Mom. You're an angel. Oh, and buy some beautiful flowers, too, for me to give to Mrs. Miller when they arrive. White orchids, if they have them. An angel. I was an angel when she needed something. When it came to including me in Christmas, I was an embarrassment. Leave it to me, dear. 2 hours later, I was at Boulevard Shopping Center, but I didn't go to the expensive stores she had suggested. I went straight to the department store at the end of the corridor, the one that always has promotions and discounts. I spent an hour choosing very carefully. For Mrs. Miller, I bought a brown synthetic leather purse that cost $45. It looked like real leather if you didn't look too closely, and it had an interesting vintage charm. For Mr. Miller, I found a navy blue tie with small polka dots for $19.99. Discreet, conservative, appropriate for an executive. The flowers were easier. Instead of expensive white orchids, I bought an arrangement of yellow chrysanthemums for $22. Beautiful, durable, cheerful flowers. Total bill, $87.99. I wrapped everything carefully, using gold wrapping paper and red ribbons I bought at the stationery store for $5. Everything looked very presentable. Even pretty, I would say. I took the gifts to Rebecca in the late afternoon, arriving at her house with my best smile. Mom, good thing you arrived. Let me see. She opened the bags anxiously, and I watched her facial expression gradually change. Mom, what purse is this? A brown leather purse. It turned out beautiful, didn't it? Look at the finish. Rebecca turned the purse over, looking for the label. Mom, this isn't Italian leather. This is from Central Varieties. It's leather, I insisted, keeping my smile. And it goes with everything. Mrs. Miller will love it. She picked up the tie. And this? Mom, where did you buy this? A beautiful tie for Mr. Miller. Blue is a very elegant color. Don't you think? Mom, this costs less than $20. I can see the price on the tag. Rebecca was getting red. And these flowers, I asked for white orchids. Chrysanthemums are much more cheerful. And they last longer. David appeared in the room at that moment, attracted by his wife's altered voice. What happened? My mother bought cheap gifts for your parents. Look at this. She showed him the purse as if it were evidence of a crime. David examined the gifts with a disgusted face. Mrs. Thompson, my parents will notice immediately that these are low-quality products. This is embarrassing. Embarrassing. That word again. Sorry. Guys, I said, pretending sadness. I thought what mattered was the affection, not the price. But if you didn't like it, I can try to exchange. There's no way to exchange now, Mom. They arrive tomorrow morning. Rebecca was almost screaming. Then you'll have to explain to them that the gifts were chosen by me, I said, still smiling. You can say they were bought by your in-law's grandmother, that classless nurse who won't be at Christmas. The silence was awkward. David and Rebecca looked at each other, clearly realizing that I was no longer being the understanding and submissive mother as always. Mom, you're acting strange, Rebecca said finally. Am I? That's a shame. Well, I'll leave you with the gifts. I'm sure you'll explain everything very well to your sophisticated guests. I left their house with a light heart. I had spent less than $100 instead of the $800 to $1,000 they expected, and I had still given Rebecca exactly what she deserved. Cheap gifts for people who raised her to look down on me. The next day, my phone rang around noon. It was Rebecca, and for the first time in years, she was talking to me with a voice I didn't recognize. A desperate voice. Mom, you have to come here now. What happened, dear? David's parents arrived this morning and they didn't like the gifts. Mrs. Miller said the purse looked like fake leather, and Mr. Miller barely opened the tie properly. They're thinking that we don't have good taste. Didn't have good taste. How life took interesting turns. And what do you want me to do, Rebecca? You need to come here and explain that it was you who chose. Say that you don't understand expensive gifts, that you bought what you thought was pretty. Please, Mom. They can't think we're ordinary people. Ordinary people. I laughed, couldn't help myself. Rebecca, dear, you told me I couldn't go to your Christmas because I don't have enough class to be in the presence of David's parents. Remember? Mom, that was different. And now you want me to go there to take the blame for the cheap gifts and save your reputation with your in-laws? Please, Mom, just this once. No. The word came out so simple, so definitive, that even I was surprised. What do you mean, no? I won't go. You don't want me there, remember? I would ruin the sophisticated atmosphere. Solve it with your refined in-laws however you can. I don't exist for you anymore, forgot? Mom, you can't do this to me. But I had already hung up. And for the first time in 4 years, I hung up on my daughter smiling. That night, I couldn't sleep. But it wasn't because of anxiety or remorse. It was because of a strange and new sensation, freedom. For the first time in 4 years, I had said no to my daughter and the world hadn't ended. In fact, I felt better than I had felt in a long time. But something still bothered me. I had cut off the money, had stopped being the submissive mother who did everything they told me to, but there was still a rope connecting me to them. A rope called inheritance. The next morning, I called the law office that had handled my divorce 10 years ago. The secretary managed to fit me into Dr. Smith's schedule for 2 p.m. Mrs. Thompson, he said when I entered his office, it's been a while since we talked. How can I help you? Dr. Martinez, I need to make a will. He picked up a notepad and a pen. Of course. It's always good to have these documents organized. I imagine you want to leave everything to your daughter, Rebecca? Actually, no. He looked up from the paper, surprised. No? I want to leave all my assets to charitable institutions. Municipal Children's Hospital, Santo Antonio Nursing Home, and the Cancer League, divided equally among the 3. Dr. Smith stared at me for a moment, clearly trying to process what I had just said. Mrs. Thompson, may I ask if there was some problem with your daughter? Because this is a very what? Very drastic? Very cruel? I laughed. Dr. Martinez, my daughter told me 3 days ago that I'm not welcome at her Christmas because I don't have enough class to be in the presence of her in-laws. The in-laws who got to know her luxurious house, her imported car, and the lifestyle she could never have maintained without my money. He wrote something down. I understand. And this is a definitive decision? Completely definitive. I want it to be very clear in the will. Rebecca Thompson Miller is explicitly excluded from any inheritance. $0, 0 cents, 0 properties. And if she contests it, that's why I'm here. Doctor, I want this document to be uncontestable. I want it to be clear that I am in full use of my mental faculties, and that this is a conscious and deliberate decision. Dr. Smith made more notes. Very well. I need to warn you that there's a fee for this type of more detailed will, about $500. No problem. And there really wasn't. After all, I had just saved $2,400 a month. $500 was little to ensure that my daughter would never see a cent of what I worked my whole life to save. May I ask how much we're talking about in terms of inheritance? I had done the math the night before. My savings account has about $85,000, plus the retirement plan, which should have about $60,000. My apartment is paid off and is worth approximately $120,000 in the current market. Life insurance of $50,000. Total, a little over $300,000. $300,000 that I had saved working day and night, economizing on everything, living simply. $300,000 that my daughter was counting on being hers one day, not even imagining that she herself had dug her own financial grave. And are you absolutely certain of this decision? Mrs. Thompson? Doctor, I have worked as a nurse for 32 years. I have seen families destroy themselves over money, children who only show up when they need something, people who treat relatives like personal banks. My daughter turned me into exactly that, a personal bank. And personal banks don't deserve to be loved or respected, just used. He finished writing and looked at me. Very well. I'll prepare the documents. I can have everything ready by Friday. Perfect. When I left his office, I felt like I had just done the smartest thing of my life. Rebecca had taught me that love meant nothing if it didn't come accompanied by money. Very well. She was going to learn that disrespect also had a price. Friday, I returned to the office to sign the will. Dr. Smith had done an impeccable job. The document made crystal clear that Rebecca Thompson Miller was completely excluded from the inheritance due to consistent pattern of disrespect and financial exploitation of the testator. Done, he said when I finished signing. This will is registered and valid. Do you want a copy? I want 2 copies. One I'll keep at home, another in my safe deposit box at the bank. When I got home with the documents, I felt renewed. In 1 week, I had completely cut the financial ties that bound me to a daughter who was ashamed of me. I kept 1 copy of the will in my dresser drawer along with other important documents, and the other copy went straight to the bank safe on Monday. You know what impressed me most? How much better I slept now. I no longer had that constant anxiety of knowing whether the money would be enough to pay my bills and hers too. I no longer had to worry if she would call asking for just one more little favor that would cost another few $100s. During the following 2 weeks, I lived a peace I hadn't known in years. I woke up, went to work, came home, and the money I earned was mine. I started making plans. Maybe a trip to the mountains in the spring. Maybe trade my old car for a newer one. Maybe even give my apartment a makeover. I bought new clothes for myself. Nothing too expensive, but pretty pieces that made me feel good. I started going to the beauty salon once a month. Small luxuries I had denied myself while supporting my daughter's lifestyle. Rebecca didn't call once during those 2 weeks. She was probably too busy entertaining her in-laws and pretending she had her own money to maintain that whole life. Or maybe she was still angry with me for buying cheap gifts and refusing to go there and take the blame. I didn't care. For the first time in 4 years, I didn't care if my daughter was mad at me. She had taught me that I only served to be used. So now she was going to learn to live without using me. The will was safe in the bank vault, patiently waiting for the day Rebecca would discover that every time she humiliated me, treated me like a servant, pretended I didn't exist when she didn't need money, each of those times had cost exactly $300,000. And you know what? I didn't feel even a bit of remorse. 2 months passed since that conversation about Christmas. 2 months of peace, of sleeping well, of not having to worry if my account would be in the red because I was supporting 2 households. I was in the middle of a shift at the hospital when my cell phone vibrated. It was Rebecca. I answered during my break, outside in the parking lot, enjoying the fresh February air. Hi, Mom? Her voice was different. It wasn't that tone of superiority I had gotten used to hearing in recent years. There was something there. Desperation? Hi, Rebecca. How are you? Mom, I need to talk to you about something. The money, last month's transfer didn't arrive in my account. Ah, finally. I had wondered how long it would take for her to notice the tap had dried up. What transfer, dear? Mom, you know what transfer I'm talking about. The $2,100 you always send. I thought it was some problem with the bank, but now it's February 7th and nothing has arrived. Oh, that transfer. I canceled it. Silence on the other end of the line. A long and tense silence. What do you mean you canceled it? I canceled the automatic transfer, Rebecca. On the day you told me I didn't have enough class to be at your family's Christmas. Mom, that has nothing to do with one thing and the other. Nothing to do with it. Of course not. For her, it was perfectly normal to humiliate me and still expect me to continue paying her bills. For me, it has everything to do with it, Rebecca. You told me I'm an embarrassment to your sophisticated family, so I decided to stop embarrassing you with my money too. Mom, you can't do this. You know we count on that money. Count on my money. Not appreciate my money? Not are grateful for my help? Count on my money as if it were an acquired right. Rebecca, you're 32 years old. You're married to a man who works at a good company. Why do you count on money from a classless nurse? It's not like that. Mom, no? Then how is it? Because from my point of view, you spent the last 4 years using me as a personal bank while pretending I wasn't good enough to be part of your family. I heard her breathe deeply on the other side. When she spoke again, her voice was louder, more desperate. Mom, you don't understand. We have commitments, the house financing, David's car, credit cards. Without your money, we can't pay for everything. And what's my problem? Rebecca? What do you mean, what's your problem? I'm your daughter. You're my daughter when you need money. When it comes to including me in the family, treating me with respect, valuing me, then I'm just an embarrassment. Mom, stop it. You're distorting everything. Distorting. I laughed bitterly. Rebecca, you literally told me I couldn't go to Christmas because I don't have enough class. Your husband said my nurseway didn't match the successful executives. How exactly am I distorting this? That was a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding at all. You were very clear. And I understood the message perfectly. Mom, listen, we can talk about this in person. Come to my house, let's have lunch together. Like old times. Like old times. When I also paid the restaurant bill. No, Rebecca. I won't go to your house anymore. I won't fund anything for you anymore. You're adults, figure it out. Mom! Her voice was almost screaming now. You can't simply stop helping us, we're going to get into debt. Then ask for help from David's refined parents. Or from the successful executives you know. People with enough class, unlike me. You know they won't lend us money. And I should lend why? Because I'm a sucker? Because I'm easy to manipulate? Because you're my mother. I'm your mother when you need money. Rebecca. The rest of the time, I'm just an embarrassment who can't be present at the important occasions of your life. Mom, this isn't fair. It isn't fair. After 4 years of bleeding me financially, after humiliating me in front of my son-in-law, after excluding me from Christmas with my own family, she was telling me I was being unfair. You know what isn't fair, Rebecca? It isn't fair for a daughter to treat her mother like a personal bank. It isn't fair to make me pay for a house where I'm not welcome. It isn't fair for you to live at my expense and still have the nerve to say I don't have class. Mom, you're exaggerating. Am I? Rebecca, in the last 4 years, you received more than $120,000 from my account. $120,000 that I worked 60 hours a week to earn? And in exchange for what? Being treated like a servant when you need something and like an embarrassment when you don't. Silence again. This time longer. 120,000? Her voice came out in a whisper. That's right. $120,000. I did the math. Want me to send you the statement so you can see? Mom, I didn't know it was so much. Of course you knew, Rebecca. You just didn't care. As long as the money arrived, it didn't matter if I was killing myself working to pay for your luxurious life. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. And it's over. Not 1 more cent will come out of my account for you. Never again. Mom, you can't do this to me. If you stop helping, we're going to lose the house. Then you'll learn to live within your means, like normal adults do. Mom, please, I'm begging you. And that's when she said the thing I'll never forget. The thing that confirmed I had made the right decision. If you don't start sending the money again, I'll never talk to you again. Never again. You're going to lose your daughter forever. Lose my daughter. As if I hadn't lost her long ago. The day she decided money was more important than respect. Rebecca, I said, and my voice came out calmer than I expected. If the only reason you talk to me is money, then I lost my daughter long ago. The difference is that now I know it. And I hung up the phone. I stood there in the hospital parking lot for a few minutes, looking at the phone in my hand. 4 years of manipulation had just been summed up in a threat. Give me money or lose your daughter. Well, she had made her choice. And so had I. The following week, Rebecca called 3 more times. I answered the first one out of curiosity, to see if she had changed her strategy. Mom, I was thinking about what you said, and you're right about some things. We really didn't treat you well, and I'm sorry for that. But you can't punish us financially because of it. Punish financially. As if I had an obligation to support them forever. Rebecca, I'm not punishing anyone. I'm simply stopping funding the life of 2 adults who are ashamed of me. We're not ashamed of you. Yes, you are. You're so ashamed of me that you don't even want me at your own family's Christmas. Mom, that was a misunderstanding. We can have another Christmas, just the three of us, to make up for it. I don't want a make-up Christmas. Rebecca. And I don't want to be treated like a servant that you pay with fake smiles and empty promises anymore. Then what do you want? What do I need to do for you to start helping us again? What I wanted. After 4 years, she was finally asking what I wanted. I want you to learn to live with your own money. I want you to grow up. And mainly, I want you to leave me alone. Mom, that's cruel. Cruel was you using me as a personal bank for 4 years. Cruel was excluding me from Christmas. Cruel was your husband saying I don't have class. I'm just stopping being an idiot. I hung up again. The second call was 2 days later. And this time it was David on the phone. Mrs. Thompson, I need to talk to you. Talk, David. You can't simply stop helping Rebecca like this out of nowhere. This is irresponsible on your part. Irresponsible on my part. A 35-year-old man was calling me irresponsible for not wanting to pay his bills anymore. David, you are not my responsibility. You are married adults. But you always helped. Rebecca counts on that money. And you never thought about living without it? Never thought about making a budget based on your income? Not mine? It's not that simple. Yes, it is, David. It's very simple. You earn money, you only spend what you earn, like everyone does. You're being vindictive because of that Christmas story. This is pettiness. Pettiness. After insulting me, excluding me, using me, he was accusing me of pettiness. David, you told me I don't have enough class to be in the presence of your family. Very well. People without class shouldn't pay the bills of people with class. Problem solved. You're distorting. I'm not distorting anything. I'm simply stopping being a sucker. I hung up. I blocked his number. The third call was a week later. Rebecca was crying. Mom, we're going to lose the house. The bank sent a notification. If we don't pay the overdue amounts by the end of the month, they're going to foreclose. Part of me felt a pang of, it wasn't exactly pity. It was more like a distant sadness. Like when you see a tragic news story on television about people you don't know. I'm sorry to hear that, Rebecca. Mom, can you help us one last time? Just this once, I promise. No. Mom, please. It's only $8,000 to bring everything up to date. $8,000. 4 months of what I used to send them. Money I had in my account. Money that could solve their problem temporarily. Rebecca, if I give you those $8,000 today, how long will it take until you need more money? It won't be necessary. We learned our lesson. You learned what lesson? That you can mistreat me all you want because in the end, I always pay your bills? It's not that. It's exactly that, Rebecca. You think you can humiliate me, disrespect me, exclude me from the family, and even so, I'll be here to solve your financial problems. Mom, I can't lose my house. Then ask for money from David's sophisticated parents, or sell the imported car, or get a second job. Do what normal adults do when they have financial problems. You know they won't lend money. And why should I lend? Because I'm more of a sucker than they are? Because you're my mother. Rebecca, listen carefully to what I'm going to say, because this is the last time we're going to have this conversation. My voice came out firm, definitive. You made a choice when you decided I wasn't good enough to be in your family. You made a choice when you allowed your husband to insult me to my face. You made a choice when you treated me like a servant for 4 years. Mom, now I'm also making a choice. It's not my problem if you're going to lose the house. You have a wonderful husband and refined in-laws who think you're better company than me. Ask them for help. I don't exist for you anymore. Remember? That's what you taught me. Mom, please don't do this to me. Goodbye, Rebecca. Good luck. I hung up and blocked her number too. 3 years have passed since that last conversation. 3 wonderful years. With the $2,400 monthly that no longer left my account, I managed to completely renovate my apartment. I changed all the furniture, painted the walls, put in new flooring. Now I have a house that is truly mine, decorated my way, paid for with my money. I traveled to the mountains in Colorado twice. I visited the Grand Canyon. I went on a Caribbean cruise last year. I always wanted to travel, but never had money left over. Now I do. I bought a new car, a 2024 blue Honda Civic that I simply loved from the moment I saw it at the dealership. I paid cash, with money I had been saving for 2 years. I retired at 61 earlier than I had planned, because I discovered that my retirement plus my savings were enough to live comfortably without working 60 hours a week. Sometimes I run into acquaintances in town who ask about Rebecca. How is your daughter? I haven't seen her in a while. My answer is always the same, said with a genuine smile. I don't have a daughter. At first, people were confused, thought I was joking. Over time, they understood it was serious. I stopped receiving questions about her. I know from other people's comments that Rebecca and David really lost the house. I know they moved to a smaller apartment. I know David had to sell the imported car. I know Rebecca went back to working full-time. I don't feel sorry. I don't feel remorse. I don't feel nostalgia. I feel, for the first time in years, peace. Yesterday, I was organizing my documents and found an old photo of Rebecca as a child, smiling at the camera with 2 baby teeth missing. For a moment, I felt a pang of something. Nostalgia, maybe. Then I remembered her voice on the phone. "You don't have enough class to be at our Christmas." I tore up the photo and threw it in the trash. This morning, I woke up, made my coffee, sat on the balcony of my renovated apartment, and planned my next trip. I'm thinking about Europe. I always wanted to see Paris. At 61, I finally learned that family isn't who shares blood with you. Family is who respects you, values you, wants you around not for what you can give, but for who you are. I don't have biological family, but I have a good life. A life that is mine, paid for with my money, decorated with my taste, lived on my terms. Rebecca taught me that I wasn't good enough for her. I learned that she wasn't good enough for me, and I'm very well this way.